happy Wednesday. I am here to interrupt our discussion on setting goals and planning and all that really technical kind of left brain type stuff to talk about feeling good. And I mean the emotional state of feeling good, but I'm also specifically talking to a book that has come into my life recently. So I was having a train of thought today as I was having a conversation with a friend. One thing that I'm really attracted to, that I really want to do at some points in my life, is have a period of my life that's high performance mode. So I want to give the example of someone who has inspired me for many years named Steve Pavlina. And what he did that I found really like something that's stuck in my head that I was like, I want to do something like this one day, is he managed to graduate from college with a double major in 3 semesters, which sounds unbelievable and impossible. And he's written on blog articles on his entire journey of doing that. But that's always really impressed me. I've thought, I want to be such a high performer that I'm able to do that. And the great thing about the way he did it is his emotional state was great. So he wasn't sleep deprived, he wasn't stressed, he was able to, eat healthy and exercise and things like that. He was able to still have he had a social life still to some extent. He didn't have time to have a romantic relationship, which he said was his only regret about the experience. But the fact that someone could do something like that and not feel overwhelmed and still feel good, but just move mountains in terms of like the energy that they have and the high performance peak state that they're able to maintain for like basically a year or a year and a half, that really interested me. And that's something that's stuck in my mind for years. Now the thing is I tend to make goals that move in that direction. So I'll make goals that are really ambitious, and because I get excited. I'm like, oh man, I'd love if I could do that thing, because that thing would represent a total character transformation. It would involve being in this peak performance state, and etc. So I set this crazy goal, get really excited about it, and believing, and it's true, I am fully capable of doing something like that. But I'm not able to maintain it for more than a couple weeks at a time. And the reason is because I have inconsistency in my energy level. And it's not external, so I generally take care of my health. I generally sleep really well. So in terms of the factors that I control, like my energy levels and things like that, like all the physical world things, I tend to manage those reasonably well. But where I fall off the bandwagon is emotional consistency. And this is what knocks me off. So it's not a matter of not sleeping enough or not eating healthy food or things like that, because that almost never is the problem. The problem is I get into an argument with someone, or something happens that makes me feel really badly, or I'm just having a day where I'm like, I feel lazy, I don't want to get out of bed, or something happens. And what I do is I allow that feeling to become true. So I think, oh, I'm feeling lazy this morning, therefore I'm not going to get out of bed. I basically use emotional reasoning to my detriment. I feel lazy, therefore I am, therefore that's a reason not to do things. Or I allow myself to become unanchored by, an argument or things like that. So these kinds of things destroy my high energy state. They usually make those kinds of products stall. If I do get back into them, that energy level that I once had, it takes me a little while to get back into that. So, and then I feel like I'm playing catch up. So it's this losing battle. So I start in this peak energy state, some kind of emotion knocks me off kilter. Then I'm at the bottom. Then I got to get back up. And then once I'm back up, I'm like, I wasted all this time, and like now I'm behind and whatever. So, and that's not a good, healthy mental state of mind to be in either. So all of this to say, what I've realized is if I want to be able to exist and have an experience of being in a peak performance state for some amount of time, not forever. I wouldn't want to be like I do like taking it easy. It might not come off that way, but I do sometimes like taking it easy. But if I want to accomplish a really interesting goal or project or something that would require just big amounts of energy and consistent focus over a long course of time, then I need consistent energy levels. And I need to learn how to regulate my emotional state so that my emotions don't allow my energy to fluctuate. So if I'm happy and then sad, then this, then that, my energy levels are always oscillating. So what I need to learn how to do is find a stable, consistent, even keel emotional state where things don't knock me off balance in the same way. Because you can have an argument and not get knocked off balance. You can you probably if you're in a happy, healthy emotional state, you're probably not getting as many arguments in the first place. So this is what I started realizing as I picked up this book. So this is a pretty old book, but really crucial. So there's a realm of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy. Feeling Good by David Burns is I believe the OG on this particular type of therapy. And this is what's made me realize that my thinking tends to be pretty distorted, and my distorted thinking allows me to go through these emotional roller coasters that knock off my energy levels, keeping me away from the consistency that I crave. Like, who wouldn't want to feel like, pretty? Some people are just like this. So some people do tend to have like a pretty stable, consistent, even keel approach, and these are always people that I'm drawn to. Like I gravitate towards very stable people because that's something that I crave for myself. So there might be like some of you watching, you're like, oh, this is easy. This is no big deal for me. But I think I just I have a tendency to experience like these highs and lows. Maybe it's part of being an artist or a musician, but that just feels like an excuse. So anyway, I'm reading this book, and they have an assessment of your overall like happiness level. It's like a basically to measure like, are you depressed? It's a very simple thing, but it's a good measure because it's like, okay, I think I'm like doing pretty good. I'm like mostly happy. I have my rough swings, but I scored a lot higher than I would have expected. So to give you just context, where 0 is like totally not depressed at all, and 100 is like you are like, you need to go to the hospital right now. You're that far. Mine was a non-existent. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, is this true? This is, is there a healthier, happier emotional state that I just assumed wasn't even possible for me to experience because I'm just so used to feeling the way I feel and assuming that things are always going to feel this way because I'm just used to it. And I started thinking about that, and I'm like, so people actually like feel like happy and like valuable and fine, like just totally whole and fine and like pretty much all the time. Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay. It's not like I don't think I'm a like unhappy person. I don't usually label myself that way, but I do notice that I fall into the trap of a lot of these distortions, these negative thought patterns that do wreck my emotional consistency. So that's something that I've been thinking about lately, and I just wanted to share it with you in case this is something that maybe you struggle with, or maybe something that you're interested in, because I think that the biggest obstacle to anything that I want to do or achieve is just myself. So I think that despite all the goals that I've made, my impulse at this point is to scrap a lot of them in favor of actually doing the first thing first, as Stephen Covey would say. So starting with like the most foundational thing. Am I going to be able to be a high performer if I'm blocking myself every step of the way emotionally? If I'm not like as like healthy and happy to the capacity that is possible for me? So I just wanted to share a little bit of an interruption of our goal conversation, but very much still connected, because thinking about goals, doing the brain dumping process that we talked about previously has opened all of this up for me, and it's like, oh, okay, obviously this is the starting point. So anyway, this is an ongoing process. I'm sure I'll be talking about it more in the future, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, I'll talk to you guys later.